This is Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, the viewer's guide to genre television for the weeks of June 16th to July 11th, 2025.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Wendy Hembrock.
I'm Brent Barrett.
And I'm Kevin Batchelder.
And welcome to a summer episode, and it's going to be hot. First up is a reminder to everybody about our Discord. And if you haven't joined our Discord yet, we have another great reason to join. We're currently going to be running a Stargate Megapack DVD giveaway contest. This is all the seasons of all the shows, including the movies. So this is SG-1, Atlantis, the whole kit and caboodle. And the way that you get in on this cool contest is by joining our Discord or coming by Discord if you're already a member and checking out our contest channel for how to enter. And just a couple things. First, a shout out because this comes from a generous listener who has loved these DVDs, gently used them, and now wants to pay it forward to somebody else to explore this interesting world of Stargate. Unfortunately, it's only available to folks in the U.S. for shipping, but hopefully that means most of you can participate. And, for those folks beyond our borders, we'll look for something in the future that hopefully you can participate in. And that's just the first reason to come to Discord. The other reason is to come and talk to a bunch of cool people and also check out some of the fun polls we've got running.
Yeah, we're running polls all the time right now. I'm asking people what their favorite sci-fi show is in the 1990s. That'll be done by the time you hear this podcast, but we're then going to ask people what their favorite fantasy show is, because previously we asked them what their favorite genre decade of television was, and it came out to be the 1990s. So I figured, okay, well, let's narrow it down, see what shows are the winners.
Yeah, it's been fun watching that develop and getting to vote and making the tough choice whether to split the vote. I know a couple of folks mentioned in Discord that, they kind of totally diluted their vote because they had so many they wanted to vote for, but they just had to do it. So that's part of the fun of the conversations and the polls. And this fun giveaway is just the first of a couple. Again, this listener has been very generous, so has got some other stuff we'll be doing. And, check out that channel on Discord for, quote, how to enter. We'll have a little bit of detail there, and also the entry deadline, which we haven't actually worked out yet. But again, we'll put some more details there, and also probably in a blog post, at the TuneInToSciFiTV.com as well, if you folks want to look at it.
Yeah, so please drop on by Discord. Again, check out the contest channel or check out what everyone's talking about. So let's now head on over to the water cooler.
You like cheap comic books, right? Well, I'm Professor Allen, and I talk about cheap comic books on the Quarterbin podcast. In every episode, I'll dissect a single comic from my collection, as long as I paid no more than 25 cents for the issue. Forget about $4 new comics that you can read in 4 minutes, or crossover events that can cost $100 to collect. Join me in the Quarterbin, where even bad comics are a bargain, and good ones are a steal. The Quarterbin podcast is part of the Relatively Geeky Podcast Network. Visit us at relativelygeekypodcast.blogspot.com or search Relatively Geeky or Quarterbin Podcast in iTunes. I guarantee it'll be worth every penny.
So first up, we're going to talk about quick reviews for shows we think you should watch now, watch soon, let sit or skip. And we're going to be covering a whole month, June 14th to July 11th. First up, we got Rick and Morty, Season 8, Episode 4, The Last Temptation of Jerry, Episode 5, Cryo Mort a Rickover, Episode 6, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and Episode 7, Ricker Than Fiction. I'm behind, so I haven't seen these yet.
I have seen them, and I've got different ratings for each of them. I think the first one I give a watch it soon. Then it goes to a high-end watch it soon, and then a low-end watch it now, and then back to a high-end watch it soon.
Not a show I watch.
Nice. I'm looking forward to these. Next up is The Librarians, the next chapter. This is season 1. We've got episode 5 and the Memory Crystal, episode 6 and the House of Cards, episode 7 and the Con, and episode 8 and the Hangover from Hell. And I haven't seen any of these yet.
I have. I give the first one a watch it soon. Then we go to a high watch it soon for the second one. The last two, the most recent two, I'd say low watch it soon.
All right. I think the show is really coming into its own. I'd say a very solid watch it soon, a high watch it soon, a very high watch it soon, and then a high watch it soon.
We don't have those ratings, Kevin.
I'm making them up as I go.
Hey, that's for me to be making up the random.
I figure when we have one of these cases where there's 3, 4, or 5 episodes of a show, I gotta, it can't be just boring single watch it soon.
All right. And we've got Revival on the Sci-Fi Channel. Season 1, Episode 2, Keeping Up Appearances. Episode 3, Reality Check. Episode 4, Run Along, Little Lamb. And Episode 5, Triage. I have not seen these.
I have, surprisingly. And it looks like, to me, at least, it's getting better and better by each episode. I'd say the first one was a low watch it soon, then a watch it soon, and then the most recent two, I give high watch it soons too.
This is interesting. And this show is connecting with other people more so than me. And, I'm the big Mel fan. But for me, for ratings, I would go low watch it soon, low watch it soon, and then a couple of solid watch it soons.
So it's growing on you.
A little bit.
And next up, we've got Murderbot, Season 1, Episode 7, Complementary Species, Episode 8, Foreign Object, Episode 9, All Systems Red, and Episode 10, The Perimeter, which was the season finale. I'm going to go very high watch it soon, very high watch it soon, watch it now, high watch it soon.
And I have a twist for those following along at home. I have not seen these.
For me, I will go low watch it soon, watch it soon, and a high watch it soon. And looking forward to talking about it on the back porch.
Sweet. We've also got Resident Alien Season 4, Episode 3, Ties That Bind, Episode 4, Truth Hurts, 5, The Human Condition, and 6, Soul Providers. I'm going to give these all a high watch it soon.
Weird. I guess I'm going to be the outlier here, maybe, and we'll see what Kevin says. But I think these have been less funny and less genre and more like interpersonal drama. So more drama, heavy on the drama stuff. So I'm going to give them all average amount to a low watch it soon.
Yeah, it hasn't had the same spark, I think, like last season had. I'm not disliking it, but I'm not liking it as much over these last few episodes, as you point out, Brent. But I would go watch it soon, a couple of low watch it soons, and then the latest one I really liked, I'd say high watch it soon.
Okay. Next up, we've got Ironheart Season 1, which I watched, and I give it a watch it soon.
Yeah, as the resident Marvel fanboy here, this hurts me to say, but I would give this season overall a high-end let it sit.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to our conversation in the back porch a bit. I watched it all too and didn't love it either. I was being generous to say low watch it soon.
Ah, interesting. Next up, we have Sandman Season 2, which we got, we have the first 6 episodes, but I've only seen the first one, which was called Season of Mist, which I would give a watch it soon.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them yet, but I do plan to watch them.
I also haven't seen them, but don't think I will be watching.
And next up, we have the return of Foundation for Season 3. We had Episode 1, A Song for the End of Everything. This was a solid watch it soon, very much place setting, but I enjoyed it.
I am not watching this show.
I will hopefully pleasantly surprise Wendy and Scott and Cape Cod and other folks. I am watching Foundation again, so I did watch this episode, watched a couple of catch-up videos for Season 2. And as Wendy said, it's a good setup episode, very solid, watch it soon.
Yay! That's exciting, Kevin. And we also had The Old Guard 2 on Netflix. This was the movie with Charlize Theron. I would give it a watch it soon.
I haven't gotten around to watching this yet, but I sure want to.
Yeah, I'll talk more with Wendy a bit in the back porch. I was disappointed without going into spoiler details, but, it was still okay. So I'll say low watch it soon.
Wow, I'm kind of amazed that I am like the generous grader this week on shows. That's a twist for sure.
Is this an alternate reality?
Yeah, there we go.
It could be the heat of the summer. It's messing me up.
I mean, I hate a Marvel show. What's going on?
Yeah, that's not right. That's when we definitely know there's something. It's been a takeover.
That's the first clue. That's the first clue. So now let's move on to some listener feedback and news. And first up, we've got voice message from Scott on Cape Cod.
Now that Foundation is back, I've resubscribed to Apple TV. I'll be checking out some of Wendy and Kevin's recommendations soon. As far as Foundation is concerned, the first episode was very complex, but interesting and certainly necessary to catch us up and set up the season. But my biggest takeaway from the episode of episode 1 was the introduction of the Mule. He's a very terrifying villain. Back some years, I think I shared that the most terrifying villain so far was Kilgrave, the Purple Man from Jessica Jones. This guy has the same power, and I don't foresee how you can beat that. And I don't remember from Asimov's books how they overcame that. I'm looking forward to finding out.
Hey, thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. And I follow you. As I mentioned, I'll talk more in back porch. I watched a couple of very lengthy recaps of season 2. I did watch season 1 on Foundation, didn't watch season 2, but found a couple of 40-minute recaps. So there was a lot there and leading into this new villain. And I had the same thoughts on some of the folks that are doing analysis too, that this is definitely going to be a huge issue to be dealt with, but an interesting one. So, I'm very curious how this is going to play out this season.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Great to hear from you. Very happy to hear that you're watching and enjoying Foundation. The Mule is going to be an interesting character. I don't want to get into a lot of spoilers here, but I think it will be a very interesting challenge how they handle this villain in the show. And also, your comparison with Kilgrave from Jessica Jones is also an interesting one. It wasn't my immediate thought, but it's a very, very good parallel. And wow, you set the bar high now that they've got a top David Tennant. Thanks. It was great to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm not watching this show, and I read the source material once when I was young, so I don't remember it. But yeah, Kilgrave, that's a very frustratingly scary villain to compare this person to. So that's going to be interesting to find out. I wish I'd remember. I know I read Foundation when I was young, but I just can't remember much.
Oh, and Scott, watch Severance.
Oh, yes. All of it? Did Scott catch up on everything?
No, I'm just telling him it's one of the shows that we exchange messages that now that he's got Apple TV Plus, he's got recommendations from you and me. So I'm just telling him to push Severance to the top of the list.
Oh, maybe if we have time, I'll catch you up on my catch-ups because I have been watching Severance and I also watched Surreal Estate.
Oh, cool. Maybe we'll have a conversation, back porch conversation.
Yep. So moving on to some news, though, we were just talking a little bit about Apple TV Plus, and we got the good news that Murderbot has been renewed for season 2, which is not surprising. It was showing up as number 2 or number 3 popular show every time I went to my Apple streaming, so I know it did pretty well for them. The nice thing, of course, is that we've got a great lead in Alexander Skarsgård, and he's actually one of the producers of the show as well. So this is all really, really good news. And we will have this show is based on a series of novellas called the Murderbot Diaries. So there's more content to tap into for season 2. So that's all very, very exciting.
Yeah, it sounds very cool. This is one of the shows that I am excited to see if I can ever get access to Apple TV Plus or they ever come somewhere else. So very cool that it's coming back for another season.
Yeah, this is good news. We'll talk a little more, again, more teases, back porch about season 1, but it will be interesting to see where they go on that. So, I don't know how much they're going to follow source material, but very good news, though. It's an entertaining cast.
It is. It's quite the cast of characters. So Brent is going to share some news about a show on Amazon that we really like.
Yeah, Prime Video's Upload, which I have seen the first season of, and I think I started the second season, but it's fallen off my list. I haven't been able to get back to it, but it has been renewed, we have a release date here for its 4th and final season, let's put it that way, which they're describing as a 4-part finale event. So starting on Monday, August 25th, will be the 4th and final season of Upload on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it based on conversations we've had the last couple of years. It's, the more recent episodes haven't been as enjoyable for me as the early stuff, but I still like it. So I'm just hoping it goes out strong, finishes up the story and we get to have some fun.
I'm right there with you, Kevin. I think it did lose a little bit in terms of maybe the humor element of it. The story's interesting, but I'll be happy to see hopefully a nice wrap up to the story. And they only have a handful of episodes, so hopefully it will also be nicely paced as well. So let's move on to a show we still find very funny and enjoyable. Kevin's got some news about Ghosts.
Yeah, and had a little laugh. And those of you who are, again, long-time listeners, and shall we say a little older, will know how often or how much for years the network upfront presentations where, all the big broadcast networks would be announcing the new shows and their schedules, how big that used to be. Yeah, well, for the genre shows we cover, that's not a big deal anymore. But Ghost is on CBS, so they had their upfront and their big announcement of premiere dates, and Ghost was included in there. So October the 16th, it'll be back, folks. So mark your calendars, or no, you still got a few months to get there, but good that we do have the firm date.
Yes, and Kevin will be marking our tuner calendar in case you need to be reminded. I'm really happy that it's coming in middle October, and we're not waiting too long for it into the fall.
Yes, Ghosts is a fun show. Looking forward to it. Good news all around.
And for those of you who do look at the calendar, yes, Ghosts is on there. But I also found it interesting today when I was updating that and another show that we had in here. We have 6 show premieres in August. I think that might be, the largest we've had, folks, in quite a while. I mean, we know now that shows, premiere throughout the year instead of the usual fall or early winter stuff, but with streaming and so forth. But 6 in 1 month, I think, is a lot for us. So that's kind of exciting.
It is. And I'm going to talk about one of those shows next. Got a couple of different links to share in the show notes about Wednesday, which is coming back to Netflix for part 1 on August 6th. And first we've got the official season 2 trailer. It's a good solid 2-minute trailer. Some of it you've seen before in some of the prior stuff, but it really kind of fleshes out what the storyline looks like. We also have a fun video of the cast talking about the various kinds of outcasts, or, supernatural beings that are at Nevermore. And we also have a fun video with Wednesday Addams taking us to Nevermore as well. So probably in total, it's about 10 minutes of rock solid Wednesday entertainment to get you excited for the return of season 2.
Yeah, they are fun videos, and this is probably one of my favorite shows that are currently on the air. We say on the air these days, we mean streaming or cable or whatever, but I'm super excited for the return of Wednesday, so I cannot get enough, suck up enough of this stuff that they're dishing out, because every time I see Jen Ortega as Wednesday, it just makes me smile.
Yeah, the excitement for this one is off the charts for certainly the three of us here, many of you listening, and lots of other folks. So yeah, it's great to be able to get a few more minutes of stuff. And also, this trailer really, and I won't talk about it here, but really kind of gives us what looks to be the focus for at least the first part of the season. So good to along with fun characters, get a little bit of an idea maybe of where the plot's going to go to.
Yep, totally. And I mentioned that part 1 is coming on August 6th, but don't worry, part 2 is coming September 3rd. So it's just going to have a little break between sections. So next up, another show on Netflix we have for Brent to talk about is The Sandman.
Yeah, I remember season 1 of The Sandman. I enjoyed it. It was a little uneven, but it was a good offering. I think it was a good season. Season 2, of course, the official trailer has come out. We're going to give you the link to it. It will be on Netflix. Volume 1 will come out July 3rd, so it's out. We talked about it in the quick reviews already. And Volume 2 on July 24th. So they're doing it in 2 parts. The trailer, I haven't seen it yet in the quick reviews, but I'm planning on seeing the first half. The trailer makes it seem extremely epic with lots of lore and fantasy, so it looks really good. Hopefully it'll be a little faster pace maybe than season 1, because I remember season 1 started out a little slow, but it was definitely, by the end of season 1, I thought it was worthwhile to watch, so I'm excited to watch season 2.
Yeah, and I do kind of ancillary to this. I hope Netflix continues with this, what do you want to call it, the split release plan, rather than dumping an entire season all at once. And then, if you can't watch right away, feeling like you have to avoid social media and some conversations. This idea of what they've started to do with Wednesday here or Sandman or coming up with Stranger Things, I'm kind of good, couple of weeks, a month between them. That's totally cool. Gives you a chance to digest the first part, talk about it, and then jump right in.
Yeah, it probably kind of balances out folks who like to binge multiple episodes, but maybe folks who don't want to, gobble it all up in a long weekend and then wait 2 years for the next one. It's not as good as every week. Some of us like that kind of a model, but it's maybe a happy medium. So let's move on to another teaser we've got and a premiere to talk about. Kevin is going to talk about Invasion.
I am. I do have, and again, the premiere date and also a teaser trailer, as Wendy is alluding to here. This is an Apple TV show, Invasion. Not one high on my list of ones I'm catching up with, but it is recommended by several folks, so maybe I'll get to it. But if you are a fan or unaware, they're linking the show notes to a teaser for season 3, and they also included the premiere date, which is one of those August shows I was talking about. That's going to be coming on August the 22nd.
Yay, another one that's coming soon. Invasion is also on my list. I tried it back in season 1, and there was some other shows on that were too similar, so it didn't grab me. But I can't remember what they are now, so maybe I'll be interested to give it another bite.
Yeah, it's my usual issue with Apple TV Plus. I don't have it. The trailer does make it look very interesting. At least this season, it makes it look like it's something that I want to catch up on and see if I ever do get access to it.
And next up, we've got a fun, I'll call it a sizzle reel of what's coming soon in 2025, which I guess they forgot we're halfway through, but on Disney Plus, and it actually combines not just Disney, but Hulu as well. And from a genre perspective, Percy Jackson gets a lot of props as one of the key focuses, as well as Wonder Man, Alien Earth, which is coming to FX. There's lots of footage in here looking at that actually looks really good. And if you have Hulu, Only Murders in the Building, which is not a genre show, but I highly recommend it. But this is a kind of a fun reminder of a lot of interesting stuff that's coming. There's also the Zombies series on Disney Plus that's highlighted in here as well. I haven't watched it, so it just didn't hit me as hard as some of the other ones. But definitely Percy Jackson is something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I saw the Zombies 4 reference, and I actually saw that in the banner on Disney Plus when I went there to watch the most recent Ironheart show. And so it's out now. I have not seen it either, but the few glimpses I've seen of it, just stills and maybe just little clips here in this trailer, make it look like it might be a young adult sort of zombie show. So I might want to check that out. I might put it on my list of things to check out. But yeah, Alien Earth, Wonder Man. I'm sure hoping that Marvel can get me back, win me back with Wonder Man. after my disappointed feeling from Ironheart, but we'll see what they do with that one. Percy Jackson, of course, we're looking forward to that. King of the Hill's return. That's a biggie. I don't know if you guys listening, if you were King of the Hill fans, not genre, but it was a funny show from the guy who created Beavis and Butthead about a propane salesman from Arlen, Texas. But apparently it's back in production and they're coming out with new episodes. So I'm kind of excited to see that too.
Yeah, the kind of cool thing, as Wendy said, it's a teaser / sizzle reel. I mean, it's really quick cut stuff, but great to see Percy Jackson again, knowing that we have younger actors. They're looking older, which is totally cool. But also, since this is stuff coming in 2025, several of these shows, or almost all of them, I think, certainly we're talking about the genre ones, we don't have official dates yet, but we at least know it's before the end of this year. And they do mention in the article with the link that I guess I don't want to say rumors, but from what folks are hearing is that Percy Jackson is going to be a December premiere date. So, again, before the end of the year will be great. And again, non-genre, but I have been catching up on Only Murders in the Building. I think I'm about midway through season 3, so I'm hoping to be caught up before that comes back, because that has been a very fun comedy to watch too.
Yeah, lots of good stuff. And I was joking when it said coming in 2025. We've got about 5 months left. But that does mean it's still coming. So lots of good stuff coming. Kevin talked about the 6 shows that are coming back in August, and there's even more good stuff in the pipeline. So that's exciting. And now we're going to move on to another exciting trailer that Brent's got to talk about for In the Lost Lands.
Yes, In the Lost Lands, and maybe Wendy is familiar with this, but it's a George R.R. Martin story. I don't know anything about that, but, since he's announced he's never going to finish the stuff that inspired Game of Thrones, maybe this has got his attention now, but it looks like it's one of those, Rebel Moon, that TV movie that was in 2 parts on Amazon. It's got that kind of a style visually to it, from what I can tell, but it's directed by the same person who directed Resident Evil, the movie. I don't remember his name, his or her name. It's going to premiere July 11th on Hulu. Dave Bautista, as we all know from Guardians of the Galaxy these days, is a mysterious drifter, and Mila Jovovich, from Resident Evil, of course. I think that's kind of the connection there. Among other things, obviously, she's done a lot of other stuff, is a sorceress. It's some sort of a post-apocalyptic looking world. I don't know if it really is a post-apocalyptic world or just a world that developed differently. I don't know. There's lots of slow-mo and action and blood and fighting. And so it looks like it's the kind of movie, I'm guessing, especially since Mila Jovovich seems to be a badass in it. I kind of bet Kevin might watch it, but I think I'm going to check it out.
Yep, it is on my list. I just haven't got to it yet with, the Old Guard and some other shows to be catching up on. But I do plan to watch it. As you described it very well, it's genre. It's got some big names. The fact it's straight to streaming doesn't mean it's a quality issue, but it looks like it'll be fun. So it is on the list. Hope to, touch on it in the coming weeks.
Yeah, George R.R. Martin he's written a lot of stuff besides Game of Thrones. That's kind of what he does, is he writes other stuff instead of finishing it. But so I'm not familiar with this material. I did watch the trailer and it looked very much like out of the Resident Evil brand to me. It's on a channel I get, so I'll put it on the list. I'm probably not as interested in it as either of you, because it looks like a lot of, a future world, but it's mostly an action movie, was my sort of reading of it. So it's maybe a little less interesting to me, but it's on the list. And you can sense my tepidness for it.
She's excited, folks.
Yeah, I'm going to say the excitement is just over the top. Can't you tell?
Okay, and moving on, Kevin now is going to talk about Fallout Season 1.
Yes, excellent link in the show notes, folks, to something titled Fallout, Making of Season 1. Kudos to Brent for finding this to share it with all of us. But this looks like your classic behind-the-scenes featurette that you'd get on a DVD or Blu-ray release. It's close to 30 minutes long, looking at Season 1. I have not watched it all yet, but I have skimmed a little bit, and there's many different chapters. It's looking at a lot of things from naturally the special effects, the actors, the makeup, some other things. So if you enjoyed Fallout, I'm suspecting you're really going to enjoy this, and I'm looking forward to checking it out in the not-too-distant future myself.
Wow, 30 minutes. That's impressive. That is really nice to hear that they went into that much care, which doesn't surprise me because I did think Fallout had a lot of attention to detail in the show as well.
Yeah, I did watch some of this and skimmed the rest of it, like you said, Kevin. But I think some of it seemed familiar to me, so I'm betting that a lot of this has been seen before. I don't know how much of it, maybe all of it, maybe some of it has been seen before as little segments after the episodes aired on Amazon Prime. I'm guessing because some of them, like I said, seem familiar. Maybe they've extended them. Maybe they're just longer and more in depth. But it's broken down into chapters. So if you want to just learn about a particular section, you can just skim along the timeline there and find the chapter you want to watch. But yeah, a lot of behind the scenes stuff, a lot of detail. One thing that I got from this that I don't think I got if I did watch this after the shows. My memory is really bad, but I love the emphasis on in camera when producing the show, when filming the show. They rely on visual effects, on CGI and stuff as well. And they even have some stuff in the volume that they talk about in here. But their emphasis was to do as much as they could in camera. They didn't want to have the little golf ball or little tennis ball like a lot of people do, or, oh, here's the monster, react to it. No, they would make models and costumes of the creatures and the everything that they couldn't do with with practical effects. They would make these models and things and have stunt people in them and stuff. So you see the one where the armored guy is fighting the big bear, and they've actually got a stuntman in this huge bear costume fighting him, and it's just really cool to see all that and how they come in they do that for the motion, and you get the motion and the realism in camera, and then of course the special effects guys come in later and turn that into the special effect bear that is fighting. So it's just really good stuff, really fun stuff.
Yeah, I recall watching and enjoying some of that stuff, as you said, Brent, the ones they would drop right after the episodes, but those tended to be pretty brief, like you said, 4, 5, 6 minutes. The 2 or 3 spots that I jumped in and watched some of this, it didn't initially look familiar. But again, it's been like 15, 16 months since Fallout aired. So like you, I may have forgotten, but hey, it's great that it's all in one video if you didn't see any of it, or like you said, maybe it's expanded stuff, and it'll be great to kind of go back to Fallout since it's been a while since it was on.
Yeah, and it's actually really smart that they released that for people who can't remember the details and maybe will prompt a little rewatch as well. So I love when they do that stuff for the fans. Good.
Did it for us old people who can't remember, yeah.
Yep, we really need it.
Fans, yep. So we're going to close out the water cooler with a Tudor Minute I came up with this week's. It's titled Better Than Left to Imagination. We've talked before about the challenges of adapting a book or a graphic novel or video game, for that matter, to the television series format. Today I'm thinking about the times when they've been successful in bringing things to life beyond what we might have imagined in the books. Often this is something that may be mentioned in the books but not described very much. Could be minor characters that are mentioned or places. The source material might have a seed or two of something interesting that can be transformed to support the story more visually in the TV show. Murderbot, for instance, is based on a series of novellas and mentions frequently a TV series named The Rise and Fall of Sanctuary Moon. In the TV show, we actually get to see it, and the characters, and the stories, not just the plot references in the books. This is one example where it is better to see it on the screen than left to our imagination. But I'm curious if there are other examples you can think of where things are better than left to our imagination.
I haven't seen too many. I can't think of too many shows where I know the source material, so I can do that kind of comparison. I've heard that the Sword of Truth books turning into Legend of the Seeker. Legend of the Seeker, a lot of people said that they did a really good job of visualizing it. So maybe that's one, but I don't know because I don't know the source material. The Walking Dead comes to mind. The first several seasons of The Walking Dead, I had read the graphic novel material when I knew The Walking Dead was coming out. And then I saw The Walking Dead show, and I'm like, well, they did a really, really good job. This is better than I imagined from the graphic novel. Now that doesn't quite fit in with you because, well, I mean, it is in a way because there is imagery in the graphic novel, obviously, so you can see what they're trying to imply, but there's not motion. So they did, I think, a really good job with that one. I can't think of too many others, though, Wendy, and that's my problem because my source material is from a long time ago, and I would have to compare it to things like 2001: A Space Odyssey. I mean, I read that book and saw that movie, although I think I saw the movie first, so that doesn't really help. But there's a lot of sci-fi books that I've read that I've never seen adapted to a TV show or to a movie, so I don't know how to answer that question. But I guess if I have to come up with one example, maybe Walking Dead. I definitely came away from that thinking that the TV adaptation of that was better than the graphic novel. It was more realized.
Yeah, I mean, you're without being spoilery, your example of Murderbot and them taking the time and money to get additional actors to show some scenes that are going on in Murderbot's head is both humorous and plays into the plot. So that's a nice, show within a show. As far as stepping back and looking at the imagination side of some of these things that we may have read or seen in a different format, and then when you see the show, is it better to have left that there? That's interesting. I mean, I know thinking of Stephen King's The Stand and the recent adaptation that I and many others didn't think was very good, the one that was on Paramount Plus. They took some liberties of taking a couple characters and combining them, which will often happen in especially a property like The Stand at more than 1,000 pages. You can't get them all in there. And that's sometimes what breaks it for me, is if there's a thing done that'll sometimes make me not at least appreciate that I'll take what was still in my imagination that maybe they chose not to include, or only touched on, that I might have thought better to have not. But it's when they sometimes will merge characters or make a plot change to fit something, and then I end up getting a little too, I don't know, picky as a viewer when that happens, rather than just maybe making a creative choice not to address something. Kind of answering your question, but I get where you're going.
Yeah, and I just read the first novella in the Murderbot Diaries, and so I was able to, and I had just watched all of season 1, and they basically are the same stories. There's some minor changes, but the thing that was very obvious to me right away when I was reading it was, he's not describing very much about what happened in the episodes in the way that we have, literally the cutaways to the actual episodes that the Murderbot's thinking about. And for me, it's actually really doing a great job of bringing what you're reading on the page to life in a way that you can only do by putting it on TV. And Brett, you had mentioned The Walking Dead, and I was actually thinking about The Last of Us, and not because I ever played the video game, but because many people on our Discord talked about particular moments in the game that when they saw them developed on screen, either they were very effective or they might have been placed differently and maybe hit differently because of the order that they were in the TV show versus in the game. So there was still some variation that was interesting for folks. The other one I was thinking about was actually Dune, the movies. So not TV shows, but Dune in particular, because of the development of visual effects, really looks like the story that I pictured in my head when I read those books as a teenager as well. So we often talk negatively about adaptations, and for the right reasons. Kevin, you talked about, you might take a character and it's like, what have you done to the character? And whatever they did maybe didn't pay off or wasn't worth it for the arc or the plot. So I wanted to actually, kind of give some props to those places where the showrunners really do make an interesting leap for us. So if you guys have thoughts on our Tuner Minute or anything that we've talked about today, we'd love to hear from you and hear your thoughts. Now let's go to the back porch and talk about some stuff in a little more detail.
Today we talk about Murderbot, Ironheart, The Old Guard 2, and Foundation.
And first up, we are going to talk about Murderbot, the last 3 or 4 episodes, and we get the resolution about what's going on. We also got, I thought, a very interesting, funny story about the gigantic bugs that we've seen throughout the season, and it turns out they're trying to mate on the ship, and that unintentionally helps them out because they leave a giant egg sac on the ship, which was super gross, but also really helpful when more sec units come to kill them, and the parents come back to protect their egg sacs and take them out for our little band of science hippies. We also got the understanding about what's going on this planet, and it turns out that which Mensa herself understood the possibility that there were alien artifacts potentially on this planet, and the other crew that was mostly dead was also there looking for alien artifacts. And we get sort of the confrontation, the cat and mouse between them. And ultimately, the Murderbot saves Mensa by a shootout that leads to them falling over a cliff, and the Murderbot takes the fall literally so that Mensa can live, and then dies and goes back to the factory and gets rebooted, reset, and totally wiped. Does not remember anything that happened. And supposedly gets fixed. Its governor module is supposedly fixed, but I guess they didn't do such a quality job. But the Mensa and the crew wanted their sec unit back because they, were so grateful to all of it had done for them. Garathan actually goes in and hacks the company to download all of the memories that the Murderbot had, including all of the episodes of Sanctuary Moon that can be reinstalled into him. And they're able to save him right before he's going to be literally melted down in a giant vat. But he's not the same, right? Because he doesn't remember himself from the wipe, even though they give him back his memories. He's still not the same. And he tries to assimilate, but ultimately at the end of the season, he goes on his own and leaves his favorite human, which is Mensa. And that is the story I mentioned reading the novella. That basically is the story of season 1. So I'm very much looking forward to what will happen. These space hippies, they might be sentimental enough that they want to go and find him potentially, or he might end up with a whole new set of humans, or he might go on a little, I don't know, maybe a walkabout and then ultimately work his way back. It'll be interesting to see. It's a great jumping off point for the future. I know a lot of people criticize this episode for being kind of, a setup going into the next season, and it's a little bit of a downer because he is so lost. which that was okay for me. I've experienced that in other TV shows where they've done that. The one nice thing that they did in the show was that talk that Garathan has with him before he leaves. And we got to really see a nice evolution in their connection, because Garathan is an augmented human, and that's effectively what the Murderbot is sort of passing himself off as now, because he's not wearing his suit and his mask. He just looks like a guy who also has some plugs. So overall, I really liked season 1. I know some people don't love the format because the episodes are fairly short. They're like 25 minutes. But that really is in line with how the source material structures kind of all these little vignettes of what happens. So for me, it works really well.
I mean, I enjoyed season 1 quite a bit. I'm looking forward to season 2. I personally was not a fan of the 25-minute episodes being released once a week. I would think maybe when Brent gets a chance to watch it, or maybe any other folks who see it in a binge format, at least a few episodes at a time, even not a whole season, would work better for this show, because while it's got a lot of great comedic scenes and setups and characters, it's not really a comedy. I mean, there's, like you pointed out, there's a story going on and a little bit of a mystery and so forth. So it's hard watching that 25 minutes at a time when they literally are not self-contained episodes. I mean, they might end an episode literally in, a big confrontation or fight or whatever. So that was a little herky-jerky watching to me. But the content was very good. I very much want to know where they might go. This bumbling crew that he was basically saving their ass every week or thereabouts, it'd be great to see where they're going to go. So I do have, like, some of the people kind of like that's the end of the season? Okay. Because it was tonally very different than what we got in the previous, 9 episodes. So it wasn't that it was bad. It was just kind of a but, where it might lead to, who he becomes now that he, can pass off easily as just, your average member of society instead of being a security bot. So, good performances, interesting characters. Glad I watched it, would recommend it. Kind of bummed where it's hanging right now, but hoping that simply gives them a good way to just come up with something creative again next season.
I'm with you. I'm also very tempted to read more in the meantime. I probably will, even though in the past when I've done that, I have regretted it, but I might just try one more because I do enjoy this universe a lot. So let's move on to another universe. We're going to go to Marvel, and Brent is going to start our discussion of Ironheart Season 1.
Ironheart Season 1, and the quick reviews, you heard that I was not terribly impressed. I think I gave it a high and let it sit. I think this is one of my least favorite, if not my least favorite, Marvel TV shows, and that's sad for me. It doesn't mean it's bad. It means that I don't think it's something that anybody should go out and watch it soon, right? That's what our ratings mean. It means watch it. I didn't say skip it. It just means you can let it sit. You don't need to watch it right away. And the reason is, I've been sitting here thinking and trying to qualify and quantify my position on this, and I can't really put my finger on exactly why, but it doesn't feel like a Marvel show to me. The suit definitely feels like Marvel. I mean, when she's in the suit and when the whole AI stuff, I get that. Beyond that, not really. And I think it's just because there's way too much interpersonal drama in this. And it's maybe I'll do a 200 minute on this. It's something I'm noticing a lot in TV shows lately, at least 2 TV shows that I've been watching. Too little comic book superhero stuff, to my mind. I like comic booky stuff. I like superhero stuff, and we're just not getting it in this series. And so I actually found myself kind of bored a lot watching the show. There's just a lot of focus on this crew and all their relationships back and forth. And I'm like, I didn't really latch on to any of these characters. So maybe that's part of it too. As we've talked about many times, if you have characters you really hook onto and you can really associate with or familiarize, be familiar with, then the show goes a lot better. Maybe that's it. I just didn't click with any of them. I don't know. The only really exciting thing about this is probably the post-credit scene, or mid-credit scene, whatever you want to call it, where we finally get the revelation of Mephisto. Everybody's been joking about Mephisto in the MCU for years now, all the way back to I think all the way back to WandaVision was the first time people were talking about Mephisto, and then Marvel kept like pulling the rug out from underneath people or whatever, or jerking their chain. But finally, on camera, we have a character say that character is Mephisto. So I'm sure a lot of Marvel fans kind of fist pumped for that one. But yeah, overall, I like the character. I like Riri's character a lot. I liked her in the Wakanda movie, where she even talked about it in this one, where she had her internship. I do like her character. I look forward to seeing her more in the MCU, but this show just didn't click for me. I don't know why. I really don't.
For me, I mean, my note that I had to talk about this show simply for myself was for the guy who is not a big Marvel fan, certainly as far as the comics. No, nothing there, just the movies. I'm not sure who this show was about. We had a bunch of characters, but it's like you said, I liked Riri. Natalie was interesting. The becoming part of the suit. But also it seemed like for several episodes, the real focus was the Hood character. And then it turns into everybody going crazy who has the Marvel background for Mephisto. So I'm like, it's just a turntable of characters, like almost like Riri was just an afterthought. That was just there to kind of keep everything else moving. So as the guy who wanted to come in and just enjoy the show for itself, no, I didn't, it was okay. But it's like, if you're not deep into it, this is not something you could watch on its own.
Yeah, in some ways I agree, Kevin, about that, because I kept feeling like this was, I don't know if it was thematically trying to tie into Iron Man and the ambiguity about these characters, because they're, none of them are really good people. And even though Riri was claiming that, she wanted to build the suit so that, it could help people, she was using it to commit crime, basically. It wasn't, other than, she was basically looking for seed money to build her suit. And then ultimately she could build her suit out of a car, which didn't honestly make any sense to me. I mean, I said, basically watch it soon. Because I did like her character. I did like the story about, her AI that is her best friend, and the brother, and all of that character drama. There was a lot of interpersonal stuff going on in the story. I didn't really latch onto any of the characters other than those and her mother. I did get a lot more interested when they went to, I'll call it the magic shop, and brought that element in as well, as they were trying to figure out what the Hood was. The Hood character I didn't find particularly compelling. That could have been because they didn't give us a motivation for the character until the end of the story, which is, something they do a lot these days. It wasn't fun. Like, a lot of times the story, especially when it's younger aged people, using whatever they built, their suit, whatever's their MacGuffin, it usually has some element of fun, even when that fun aspect also has a negative consequence. The boomerang comes down. This one was just a lot of work. I guess, I don't know. I'm not I don't have a succinct explanation for why it didn't impress me as much as some of the other Marvel stories or characters. The storyline itself wasn't particularly, to Brent's point, superhero-y, really, because for the most part it was going to commit crime, and that isn't particularly compelling for me. But we'll see what happens. There was definitely very good performances, especially when we were talking about her and dealing with the death of the stepfather, as well as her friend and all that. So, it could have some real heft to it. But to Brent's point, I would like to see that not just about dealing with their, the emotions in their lives, but also the overall storyline, the plot of, what is she going to go do next? If that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
There were pieces I liked, but the whole didn't really do it for me. And like you said, the crime part was one thing. I'm not rooting for a character who's really just stealing money to, even if their, shall we say, their mission, their idea is supposed to be for the good. It was just an odd way to do it. And it just seemed like by the end, okay, we're setting up a bunch of these other characters to go into other Marvel properties. So it's like I said, you've got to be deep into all of it. Otherwise, this is just a lot of, disconnected pieces.
Well, I'm glad you said that because, I'm definitely haven't watched every Marvel movie and I don't know all the characters. So that is good to hear that I should have felt like I was like, I don't really understand how this fits. But who knows, that it might fit really well the next time we see the characters. That's one of the nice things about this expanded universe is they always get another crack at it.
Yeah. This is her second crack, but I think her first crack was a little better. But yeah, I'm with you. I think that hopefully they'll do more with these characters in the future.
So let's move on to another show to talk about, actually the movie, The Old Guard 2, which Kevin is going to start us off.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first Old Guard movie, going back 5 years. I think if you've been listening to the podcast, we've touched on that a little bit, so long between the movies. And that was a fun standalone film. I mean, certainly having Charlize Theron as the leader, genre movie, idea of immortals, people spending, thousands of years helping to protect other people. It was an interesting movie and enjoyable. Nothing like special, but certainly enjoyable. So the fact that we're going to do a follow-up seemed very interesting. The fact that they added Uma Thurman just got me really excited. When you look at the trailer, you could tell she was going to be at odds with our group of immortals. Again, could be a lot of fun here. What's going on? Why is that happening? Going to be an epic showdown. So that was all set up pretty good. Bringing back some other characters from the first film. Awesome. Finding out that there's a way that the immortals can be turned mortal. Okay, makes for some good story bits on here. This is all kind of there. Some good fight scenes. And then we have a showdown. And it's not really a showdown because Uma Thurman's character jumps in a helicopter and gets away, and the movie ends. So it's all a setup for a third movie? ? That hasn't been announced yet? ! Feeling like I've just been, taken advantage of? Yeah. There's bits to like here, but if you're going to do a trilogy, you should have told me it was a trilogy. If you're just doing the second film to leave it on a cliffhanger-y thing, then you damn well better announce the third movie the day after you drop the movie, which they haven't done yet. So I'm feeling very honestly ticked off.
Ooh, Kevin. I didn't have as high expectations of this movie as you did. First of all, it was many years ago. I think I watched it, but honestly, I couldn't tell you anything specific. So when they were referring to the one character who got kicked out of the band, and I'm forgetting his name, but the one who ultimately gave Charlene back her immortality. I was like, oh, I guess I should remember this, but I don't. I did like the Uma Thurman character. I did like the return of the girlfriend storyline, that whole thing. It was a little bit tonally disappointing because Charlize Theron's character is so, I'll say, mopey throughout. I did like the Scooby Gang, though. The other immortals that she's with, they have a great dynamic. And I liked the idea that one of them is, I don't know what they called her, the Omega. I liked how that piece developed in terms of her interaction with the Uma Thurman character. And then I had a very similar reaction as you did when the story just stops. And it really did feel like I'm 2/3 through the book, and it just literally, fade to black. It was very abrupt. There should have at least been a tag at the end that was like, come back for, Old Guard 3 or something.
Yeah. To be continued.
At a minimum. Yeah, exactly. That was very jarring. I completely agree. And it didn't feel like there was a whole lot more story left. So when we get Old Guard 3, it better be a 75-minute movie to resolve. I did like the idea of the reconnection between her and, I'm forgetting the name of the other character, the one who was at the bottom of the sea.
Quinn, I think they called her.
Quinn, yeah, thank you. They had great chemistry, and it was, I'm hoping that the next one will be more fun because it'll be more like a buddy action where they're trying to, go rescue folks. But yeah, it really needs, we really do need to know that there's an Old Guard 3 coming very soon, like next year at a minimum.
Well, and I don't know why from the business side, but this Old Guard 2 was shot in 2022, 3 years ago. It's taken 3 years before it got released.
Oh, no.
So I don't know why,
good.
if there's a business reason or rights. I don't know. I've yet to see a reason listed in any articles I've come across, but that's why I say. And so the first film, naturally you wouldn't remember it, or not naturally, but a lot of folks wouldn't because it was 5 years ago. It was 2020 when that dropped. So there's some very interesting characters and the mythos and the foundation of what this is. And as you said, some excellent Scooby Gang components and actors. And yeah, I follow the mopey, our lead character, Andy, there is mopey, but I thought that would be brought together, like you said, by what would happen in the last third of this film that we didn't get. She'd be reunited, or she was, have the story change. So, the woman that she had spent thousands of years with as immortals, they'd somehow team up to take out the Uma Thurman character or have a big show, something there. So this just makes no sense at all to leave the story there, and also to have Netflix not tell us. I mean, this sets Netflix up now. If the view numbers, which is obviously the most important thing, are low, it's going to be because people are not recommending it because they feel like you and I, that we got kicked in the gut. And they go, well, the numbers weren't good, so we're not doing a third movie. Well, no shit. You should have told us that ahead of time. So I don't know. I feel very jaded on what they did, even though there's a lot here to like.
Yeah, it feels like maybe when they actually filmed the movie, the big sword fight with Uma Thurman and the helicopters was the end, and, she killed her. and they didn't fly off because, especially if they filmed this 3 years ago,
yeah.
I don't understand why you would do that as the movie conclusion without a clear plan to resolve your story.
I don't either. This is one of those ones that I'm trying to channel my frustration into ooh, this might be interesting to find out why they made these narrative choices someday.
And I'm trying to remember when the, oh shoot, what was that movie called? The other movie the big movie that Charlize did in, it was the Mel Gibson,
the Mad
Outback.
Max.
Mad Max. Was that movie in between this time or before that time?
No, I don't know.
I'm just curious if she was involved in that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look up the timing of things. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. This one I'll be really curious to hear listeners' comments and thoughts and predictions about as well. That'd be very appreciated. So let's switch gears completely and talk about Foundation Season 3 returns. We just got the first episode, and as we mentioned in the quick reviews and Scott's comments, we have a lot of setup. We have a huge time jump. It's been over 150 years. Gail and Harry went into the cryo chamber, and they've continued to develop the second Foundation, which includes the people from the planet whose name I cannot remember, but who have the persuasion powers that we see the mule has. And Gail had been dreaming about the mule in season 2. So she knows it's coming, and because Harry gave the artifact that can be used to see the psychohistory, got one of them to Demerzel in season 2. The Cleon dynasty is also aware that something bad is coming, but they don't know the detail the way that Gail does, because Gail has some of that foresight powers. So it was interesting to see, because of the time jump, what's happened, and Empire is losing power. We have the 3 new Cleons have very interesting and different dynamics than we saw in the past. Day, who is played by Lee Pace, is usually the one who's sort of running the day-to-day government, and in this one, he's not. He's kind of gone on I don't know if he's had his middle-age breakdown or what, but he's off with a woman named Song, kind of not doing anything, doing a lot of drugs. And we actually have Dawn about to ascend into Day. He's about like 10 days out from that. So we see him really asserting himself as the leader, which we never saw in the prior season. So that's an interesting twist for the characters. And we also get the introduction of the mule, who can compel people with his mind to basically do anything that he wants. So he can land on a planet with no army, turn his opponents completely against themselves, destroy themselves, and take over. And he does it pretty ruthlessly at the start of this episode. And then we also have some other setup pieces that are going to be important around the capabilities of Empire. They can't travel as fast as they used to be able to. They have Foundation has like 900 planets on its side, and the Empire has about 7,000 planets on its side. So they're still, the dominant force in the galaxy, but they're not, preeminent and overwhelming the way that they were in season 2. So, for me, this was fun, to see sort of what version we get of our clones, and Demerzel as well. We also got a little bit more about other people who are starting to understand her function and the robot war, 20,000 years ago. But people are understanding that whatever is coming, the second crisis that's coming, it's going to come soon. It could come as soon as 4 months, and it could throw them into the dark ages. So the stakes are very high, and I feel like this episode really kind of put all the ducks in a row to get things going. And also, as it was with season 1 and season 2, the production values in the show are just really amazing. The special effects, the sets, the costumes. It was very enjoyable just to watch.
Yeah, I was knowing I wasn't going to have time to watch all of season 2, now that I do have my Apple TV subscription again. I went looking for some really good detailed recaps of the season and found a couple. Like I say, they were like 35, 45 minutes long on YouTube. Very well done. So, I thought that would be meaty enough to get a good feel. But knowing how deep this story is and how many characters and factions and all that, I had to watch those recaps a couple of times. And I was hoping that coming in to season 3, I'd feel at least comfortable enough with who's who and what's going on that I can at least get back into it. I had a little bit of that with Andor when I, just decided to jump in the latest season. And with Andor, I always felt a little lost, like I hadn't really grasped it. Now, I was pleased with this first episode, and I was glad, as you pointed out very truthfully, that it's a setup episode, because a lot of it for me was watching going, okay, yeah, that's right. That's who that is. Okay, yeah, I know they are aligned with these ones. Okay, I know that. So I think my have some fun with puns here. My foundation for understanding what's going on in Foundation is strong. So it was good. And as you said, visually, and I remember this from watching all of season 1, I mean, they've got it on screen. I mean, they really do. I mean, this is epic science fiction, and then you get that both with the story components, but also what you're seeing on screen is very beautiful and well done. So it was good to get that feel. And as you said, the mule is looking like, wow. You get why the universe might be going into a dark age in just a few months, because this guy only, give him a couple of minutes and he can just take out an entire army, basically. So how are you going to deal with that? It was very interesting in some of the, I wouldn't call them recaps, the analysis videos that I found on YouTube for a couple of channels I regularly follow, do a good job digging in. We're saying, looking and saying that, this might be the timing with Demerzel. She's the robot that no one knows is a robot, or almost no one. So the mule probably can't compel her, but she can't exactly give that up either as to why he can't. So that could make for some interesting things, and the need for both sides to align against the mule as the only way to stop him. Another one of those epic things, enemy of my enemy could really make for some interesting story bits if they're able to get that. And how do they make that happen? So there's definitely a lot going on here. But at least I feel like I have a good feel for it. And as you said, some of the actors are doing a great job understanding, that Empire is the 3 clones, and that they do go through the changes each time. You got to kind of realize that when, as you pointed out, you'll see certain personality differences from the same actor a few episodes apart or a season apart. So you got to be ready for that. So, epic sci-fi. I'm looking forward to the season.
Yeah, you mentioned Demerzel. So in season 2, we got the truth about who Demerzel was and how, she serves Empire. That's her programming. But, she was not, she didn't take on that job willingly. Cleon the First did that to her. But she was very much in command, and the Cleons did not know that their genetic line had been, I'll say, contaminated in the past. So they learned that about Dave, right? He had this, quote, defect, but it turns out this genetic defect has been there for quite a while. So now in this episode, in the beginning, we have Dusk and Dawn talking, and they're blaming Cleon the 16th for why they're weakened, and that was the events of season 2 when Cleon attacked Tantris. And we also see that, Demerzel is not necessarily the one influencing Dawn. He's talking more to Dusk, and Dusk is not this sort of retiring gentleman like he had been in prior iterations. He's a lot more bitter, and also they do sort of understand the precariousness of their actual position. So it's an interesting to see how that will play out when confronted by the Mule and possibly Foundation people. If Demerzel is usually very united with the Cleons, and whether she'll either be in charge and directing them like she kind of was in season 2, or how she will handle that in season 3, because she definitely does not want, she's not supposed to exist. There's not supposed to be robots. So, she will obviously need that power against the Mule, but how will she be able to explain that she has that power without endangering herself will be really, really interesting. And she made a point of, or they made a point of talking about how she was a general in the robot war too. So I assume she'll have a pretty big role in coming up with the plans for the Mule.
Yeah, and it was very interesting, that scene where she's talking to that woman and in that special garden where she's like, yeah, anything I tell you, you're going to forget the moment you leave this garden because I want your advice.
Yes.
Yep. Like, wow, that's a pretty cool setup. You can totally share all your secrets and know that they will forget them as soon as they walk away. But yeah, that idea of the robot wars and that understanding of the laws of artificial intelligence not bringing harm to humans, and then having robots fighting each other over that. I mean, it's some very interesting stuff. So what that's going to mean to her in this coming battle with the Mule could be very interesting.
Yes, it definitely will. So I'm so happy you're on board, Kevin, to talk about the show, and other folks are too. That's going to be a lot of fun. Plus, we've got a lot of fun shows coming soon to be talking about as well. Wednesday and others. So we got a lot more fun stuff to talk about, and we're going to wrap up for today. Before we go, I want to thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it. And we invite you to jump over to Discord, enter our contest for the Stargate Universe DVDs. And I want to thank Kevin and Brent for a lot of fun talking about a lot of different stuff today. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.
See you on Discord, and catch you next time.
Take care, everybody. Have a great week.
If you'd like to contact Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, we offer a variety of feedback options, including email at feedback@tuningintoscifitv.com, voicemail at 706-927-8478, Skype voicemail at Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, or you can visit our website at tuningintoscifitv.com and use the SpeakPipe app or our forums. And finally, you can find us on Twitter at twitter.com/tuningintosci-fi or on Facebook at facebook.com/tuningintosci-fi TV. The theme music for Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV is by Beatnik Turtle, used with permission. You've been listening to Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, episode 675, recorded July 13th, 2025.